Hi everyone, this is Dan for thecreativemusician.net, and today I'm bringing you a short video just about your guitar and why it might not be playing the same way that it once did, as well as some maintenance tips to helping you keep your guitar in the best possible shape. Let's get started. So if you're watching this video today, you've likely noticed a bit of a performance change in your instrument, be it your acoustic or your electric guitar. You may have noticed that the strings are sitting a little bit higher than they once did, or perhaps you're getting a little bit of a strange buzz coming from some of the frets. Now, regardless of whether or not it's an acoustic or an electric, these types of changes over time are incredibly normal. Because after all, a guitar is a piece of wood that's under a lot of tension due to the strings, so of course you're going to run into changes and differences over time. So when it comes to these changes, there are two main contributing factors that will affect the performance of your instrument: humidity and string tension. So the first thing to remember is that for the most part, your guitar is made of wood, and wood by nature will absorb or release moisture into the air depending on the environment that you store it in. If you live in a really dry and hot climate, then you're likely to see that your instrument is more dried out over time. Now, the opposite is also true. If you live in an area with a higher relative humidity, you'll notice that your instrument will tend to absorb more water from the air. So it really just comes down to where you live and how you store your acoustic or your electric guitar. Humidity changes to your instrument tend to happen over a longer period of time, and they're not really something you would notice overnight. Now, one of the best ways to have a bit more control over the humidity of your instrument is to store the instrument in its case when you're not playing it, with a humidifier in the case. If it's an acoustic guitar, you can actually get humidifiers that sit on the inside of the sound hole, just between the strings. And the way that these work, you will fill them with water, and they will slowly regulate the amount of humidity that is absorbed by the instrument over time. Now, this is probably one of the best things you can do over time to prevent any drastic changes caused by humidity to your instrument. Now, the other important contributing factor is string tension. Now, depending on what type of strings you have on your guitar, you will have anywhere up to 75 kilograms of force that is constantly applied to the instrument. Now, this is why it's so important to be conscious of the humidity of the instrument, because if you get a guitar that's started to dry out significantly and then you add string tension over a long period of time, this is when you'll start to see wood splitting and cracking. And these type of changes or this type of damage to your instrument is often irreversible and requires some serious repair work. Now, it's never usually just humidity or just string tension that are causing these changes. It's usually a combination of both of these things at the same time, as well as a couple other factors that can come into play as well. So when you bring your guitar in for a setup, there are a number of things that a guitar technician can look into to ensure that your guitar is playing at its best. So the first thing we can do is we can have a look at the truss rod, which is a metal rod that runs along the inside of the neck of the guitar. We can tighten it and loosen it to adjust the curvature of the neck. Now, when you've got a truss rod that is relatively straight, you'll notice a neutral neck pattern, or a case where the strings run parallel to the frets. Now, if the truss rod is too loose, you'll notice an up bow forms, which actually creates a lot of space between the fret and the string itself in certain areas. Now, the opposite is also true. If the truss rod is too tight, it will create a back bow, which is basically a situation where the neck is curved backwards. And now this can cause a lot of problems as well, because the frets will actually come into contact with the string in certain areas, and this can cause a lot of unwanted buzzing. So this is in general how a truss rod works. We'll also take a look at the height of the saddle as well as the depth of the nut slots, both of which can contribute to a guitar that isn't playing or feeling as it should. Now, if we're talking about an instrument that's had many years of love, you may notice some fret wear over time and that the frets are not level anymore. Now, fret leveling and recrowning is another thing that can be done, especially if there is a lot of wear and tear Now, when it comes to maintaining your guitar at home, I would highly recommend this Jim Dunlop System 65 guitar maintenance kit, which is excellent because it does include a lot of the premium polishes that they do offer. The Formula 65 is great for the body and the neck of the guitar, just getting a lot of that surface grime off. The cream is great if you've got a glossy guitar or a guitar that has a lacquer body to it. It brings a lot of that shine back. Now, the string cleaner polish that comes with this is great if the strings that you have on your guitar are starting to get a little bit old. It sort of brings them back to life and gives them a nice feel and a bit more brightness to them as well. The fingerboard cleaner and prep is great. It gets a lot of the grime and dirt out of the fingerboard. When you're changing your strings, you can get in there with the cleaner, and it really helps to get a lot of the dirt and grime off the fingerboard. And then the deep conditioner is awesome because it is basically a thick oil that will actually be absorbed into the wood of the neck. Now, they do also make a lemon oil, which is great as well, but obviously this is just part of a kit. The deep conditioner is great because it will actually bring some moisture back to the fretboard as well and give it a bit more a bit more character and moisture as well. Now, for the whole kit for $65, it's really pretty good value. You can buy them individually as well if there's only a few that you do want in particular. And this right here is just an example of a guitar sound hole humidifier for $19. You can't really go wrong with that. It's basically just a sponge that you would moisten, and it basically just slips on in past the strings into the sound hole of the guitar, and it just introduces some moisture into the inside of the guitar, and it keeps your guitar from drying out. So definitely a great investment. Well, I hope this video has been helpful for you today. If you do have any questions about your guitar particularly, or if you did want to drop it in for a setup, we are located here on the Gold Coast in Queensland. Our setups start at $69 plus strings. So send us an email or fill out the contact form located here on our website. Again, I'm Dan for thecreativemusician.net. We'll see you next time.